it isn't about the music necessarily. It's about me sharing myself, my stories, my journey, my struggles. I just found that the more exposed and authentic and honest I am, the more of an impact I had. I don't remember the day I let you go.
I am so excited this morning to be joined by a vocal legend. I know I say that a lot, but I really mean it this time because she's so goddamn talented. Shoshana Bean, thank you so much.
My pleasure. You're the boy who cried vocal legend wolf, aren't you? It's lost.
I mean, I love my vocalist. So I want to start by congratulating you. Your new album is out today.
Yes, sir.
Major. What does it feel like to be releasing your 4th album right now?
It feels good. I think I feel like I've been like overly pregnant with it for a while. I've been, working on it for a year and sitting on a finished product for like 4 or 5 months here. So I'm ready. I'm glad that this part is, now it's out.
So a lot of people like to sing Aretha, but very few people can do it successfully, which I can attest you beyond can. I'm curious, going back, when did you first realize I can sing well?
I don't even know if I feel that way today. But
Or were there people in your life that sort of were telling you that from a young age?
yes and no. I feel like, at home always that I'm a star, right? But beyond that, I think the good fortune was I always landed in positions where I wasn't necessarily the best. There were other people who were getting more of the attention and more of the accolades, so it forced me to step up my game and I guess be competitive. And I remember in junior high distinctly, I thought I was a big shot as a singer, and there was another girl in junior high, because each time you went from like grade school to junior high to high school, there were more fish in the pond, right? So when I got to middle school, and I'm like the queen of the national anthem in schools, right? So I did my anthem, and then this other girl, she had her turn to do the anthem at an assembly, and I remember one of our very good mutual friends being like, maybe basically saying like she was better, and that was it for me. I was like, well, that'll never happen again. I can't possibly. And that's, I think, when the competitive streak started for me. And I know that other girl had said, I'm going to, we were listening to a Mariah Carey album, and she had said, I'm going to do this. This is what, and in my mind, I'm like, I didn't even realize you could just choose to be Mariah Carey for a living. So me too. I'm going to do that too. So I think it was when someone else just sort of maybe threatened my standing that I wanted to be better. But that wasn't your question. Your question was, when did I know I was good? I think life has done enough to me for me to know, like, I don't know that sometimes I'll look back on stuff and be like, oh wow, that was pretty solid. But I don't know that I'm a very good vocalist. I don't think that I'm an artist. It's never good enough for me.
Okay, well, I'm going to attest that I think that you are so great. Okay, so I want to talk then about how you landed up at CCM, correct?
Yeah.
Cincinnati Conservatory of Music.
Yeah.
I went to NYU, and my understanding of CCM was that it was like theater school boot camp.
Sure.
I just remember reading about the schedules that you guys would have and the vocal training and everything. What was your experience like there?
I think you just summed it up. I think boot camp is probably the best way to say it. I used to say, like, if you did an SAT prep course or anything before you took the SATs, it was always harder than taking the SATs. So that's how I felt about CCM. I felt like they just loaded us with so much work and so much fear and so much over preparation, I guess, that by the time we got to New York, I was like, oh, this is it? I got this. This is going to be fine. And I'm grateful for that, because it made us like ready for battle in so many ways, as far as like being able to carry an insane workload and being able to multitask and manage your time, in a sense of like being able to get ready fast, being able to have a distinct look, how to behave at auditions, how to dress, how to, we used to write thank you notes back in the day, So I really do think it was absolutely laid the best foundation for me to show up here and like attack the business.
And you mentioned early on being very competitive. I imagine when you get to a school like CCM around so many talented folks, that must bring out a competitiveness in you. It would in me. What was it like being around so many talented people, and was it difficult to sort of maintain your sense of self around so many other talented artists?
These are such great questions.
Oh, thanks.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you.
It was competitive, and they definitely fanned the flames of a competitive atmosphere. But at the same time, these are the people you're with day in and day out, and they become your family and your best friends. So there is an element of competitiveness, but also like you love them so much, you aren't wishing each other ill by any means. So I'd say a healthy amount of competitiveness, and more importantly, same thing of like little fish, big pond. I came from being big fish, little pond to big pond, little fish. All of these, I kept thinking, oh, when I get to CCM, I belt and I have a legit voice. So I'll be different. Every girl there had a belt and legit and was better. At that point, I can easily say they were better than me. And definitely had more experience and were stronger actresses and all of it. And I just kind of like had a choice to either shrivel or figure out how I was going to be unique. And I would say that that's where I started to realize like, oh, well, I do have this sort of regular girl element. Like I didn't just do theater my whole high school career. Like I was like into the R&B scene and like, you know, singing in clubs, and that I have this whole other pop element to what I do that these kids don't necessarily have. That's what's going to set me apart, at least here. And then little did I know that that would sort of be what sort of carved my lane here as well.
You were the man who hung the moon. Boy, you had me fooled. Spun me round, kept me down, and safely under you took all I had to give and more. You left me on the floor, couldn't find a way to crawl out of the days, turn into nights, darkness to light. Seasons keep changing. Time is my friend after all. I don't remember the day I let you go. I don't remember the moment, but oh, I know that I'm finally free, like a distant memory, faintly calling me who I am, who I was. I'm not the same when I look at the picture of my life. I can barely find where you were, where you are. No longer part of my days, come to an end. Broken hearts mend, clouds start to part. Time is my friend after all. I don't remember the day I let you go. I don't remember the moment, but oh, I know that I'm finally from the burden and the shame, from the weight of all the pain. Free, I've taken back my heart again. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember the day I let you go. I don't remember the moment, but oh, I know. I don't remember the day I let you go. I don't remember the moment, but oh, I know that I'm fine. I'm finally free.
I want to talk about the rigors of the 8-show week process, particularly on a show like Wicked, 3-hour show, if I remember correctly. You sing a lot in it. And there's the green makeup process backstage in advance, stage door afterwards. There's just a lot to a show like that. What was that like in terms of stamina, both mentally and physically?
if I can recall, it was hard. It was a really steep learning curve. And I actually, because of that, really try to share very candidly what the experience is like, because I don't think that young hopefuls who are like, I want to star on Broadway someday, really know what they're asking for. And no one really does. You know, as much as I can share my stories and sort of peel back the curtain, people are still going to have to learn their own way. I have many friends who I've been like, you're going into this huge role for the first time. Here's what you need to know. And they're like, okay, got it. And then they're in there like, ooh, you weren't kidding. Or like, it's even more than you said it was going to be. It's hard. It's redundant. It wears on your body, to get that energy up every day. On hard days, and the weather in New York, and the temperatures change, and your life happens. Your life still happens, so you still have to go on stage and focus, regardless of a death in the family or a fight with your boyfriend or whatever's going on. It's hard, and the makeup is always people's question. Least of the problems. It was easy. Because I didn't have to do it. You sit there and someone else takes care of you, and the show takes very good care of you in the sense of like, we got facials and and every girl comes up with their own regimen that makes it come off easily, and how to take care of their skin. And I actually can say I think I had the best skin of my life back then because of the constant exfoliation.
Yes.
And the turnover. And then I just felt prettier green, to be honest, for a long chunk of time.
It is such a beautiful shade of green.
Yeah,
it's like quite remarkable.
Yeah.
So then you started recording music. A lot of your theater contemporaries have also recorded music, but they've stuck with more theatrical albums. Not all of them, but many of them. Yeah. And you distinctly went in a more pop R&B space. What made you want to go over to recorded music, and what made you not necessarily want to stay with theater?
I always wanted to be a pop star. I always wanted to be Mariah Carey or J-Lo or Beyonce. Like I always wanted that. So it was a no-brainer for me. It didn't feel like a departure. It was like, I do this and I also do this. It wasn't, I felt like after I left Hairspray, I was already making the decision to like not do theater anymore. I was like, this was great. I did Broadway, I did Hairspray. It's not gonna get any better than this. I had a ball. Now it's time to do what I've done here in the recording industry, right? So I was on my way out when Wicked called, and that just felt like, as a standby, I was like, I can still do what I do, and just, back then, I don't know what it is these days, but back then, I just had to be within a 4-block radius. So the pressure of not having to perform every day, just being the standby in the vicinity, I can still write music and record, and but then...
Can you explain to people what a standby is?
Yeah.
Don't know.
So there's generally 2, maybe 3 covers in the building for a role the size of an Elphaba or a Hello Dolly or something, a sizable role, and a Glinda. So an offstage standby is a person who's literally dedicated to just being in the building or the vicinity for that role. They don't do anything else. They're not on stage every night. They're off stage. Megan Hilty was a standby with me. We had a dressing room upstairs. We'd watch TV. We'd knit. We'd read. Whatever. We'd go to the gym in the vicinity. You just had to be available for a page or a call or whatever else. And in my mind, it's never going to happen. Obviously, it happened multiple times.
Can you recall the first time it happened? I'm just so curious. Like, you got a phone call.
I don't think I ever had I don't think, and I may just have a foggy memory, but I don't think I ever had a standby moment.
Got it.
I think I always knew I was going to go on. Even with, like, a night's notice, because you can tell if you're an Elphaba, like, tomorrow's not happening. I'll make it through tonight, but tomorrow's not happening. So there would always be notice.
Wicked has this rabid fandom. I might have been a super fan. May or may not. But what was it like for the first time encountering fans that were so dedicated, and you built this fandom around the show of these huge fans of yours, and that started to explore your music outside of there by proxy of the show? Had you ever experienced anything on that level before?
No. I knew what it was like because of Hairspray. People were rabid about Harvey and Marissa and the show, but not necessarily personally and individually. And so I think at first I just separated it and was like, they're not a fan of me, they're a fan of Elphaba and the show. It's not me that they like. And sometimes that was true. Some people would ebb and flow and be gone as soon as I was done with Wicked. They were nowhere to be found. But I still think I still don't quite own that. Like when you were just saying that, I started to tear up because it's like when you say it, it's like a real thing. I don't know. I still try to find the balance of like receiving that love and also not like making it like define me or like making it a big thing. So I don't know. I think at the time it was more than I was prepared to handle. No one teaches you that like a lot of energy is going to come at you even when you're tired, and the last place you want to be is at the stage door. Be gracious, receive it. And if someone had said like, it's not always going to be like this, Shoshana, you're going to be in shows and no one's going to wait at the stage door. Like, I just think that, you know, hindsight is 2020.
When the sins of my father were way down in my soul, and the pain of my mother, it will not let me go. I know there can't come fire from the sky to refine the purest of kings. Even though I know this fire comes with pain, even so, and just the same, make it rain down on me, make it rain, make it rain, make it rain, oh, rain down on me, make it rain, make it rain. Now the seed, it needs the water to grow up from the ground, but it just keeps on getting harder, oh, the hunger more profound. Well, I know there can come tears from my eyes, but they may as well all be in vain. 'Cause even though I know these tears cause me pain, even so, and just the same, make it rain down on me, make it rain, make it rain, make it rain, oh, rain down on me, make it rain, make it rain. Now the seas, they're filled with water, it stops by the shore. It's like the riches of grandeur, ooh, they never reach the port. So let the sky fill with thunderous applause, and let lightning be the veins to fill the sky with all that they can draw when it's time to make all change. Make it rain down on me, make it rain, Lord, make it rain, rain down on me. Oh, please, Lord.
Speaking of hindsight, so you're on this fourth album now. What have you learned from the past 3 albums that have informed your work with this album?
So much. And yet there's still more to learn every time. I've learned so much, but I definitely made a pointed effort this time to get out of my comfort zone. So I took all that I'd learned and still there were, was uncharted territory and a lot of discomfort, which I've come to realize at this stage in my life that that's where I want to be living, is where it's uncomfortable and where I'm not quite sure. There's an amazing David Bowie quote that I should memorize and use often, because he basically says, like, right at the edge where you literally feel like you're going to lose your grip and you don't know what's going, like, that's where that's where it is. That's where exciting things happen and growth happens. So as much as I knew, I brought that arsenal of information, and then also was cognizant of, like, here's how I want to do it differently so I can enjoy this part of the process, or here's how I want to do it differently so that I can really expand and do something different and new and exciting. And yeah, so I would say it was 50-50. And I'm grateful, and I just try to, like, really log the things that work and really learn from the things that don't, from every project. And every single project has taught me something valuable and different.
So I want to talk about the fundraising for this album, because you raised a remarkable $120,000, which is just a testament to how your fandom is so loyal to you.
It sounds like a lot of money, then it just goes. It's just gone. It just goes so fast.
Pledge Music is a crowdfunding website just for music. So I chose it over Kickstarter this time because the way that the site is set up and the way that you can use it as an artist and as a pledger is just completely catered to music. And Kickstarter is more broad for, like, music or art or film or this or that. Pledge Music is dedicated to music. So that makes it... that helps the artist do their job. So you're asking, how did I reach people or how did I engage them? I was freaking terrified because it was a lot of money to ask for, This is an expensive album, 18 pieces, and the studio time for that. It's all just ridiculously expensive. So I wasn't sure that people were even going to... Also, I had nothing to show for it. It was so different from anything I'd done. I thought, if I explain this... They surprised me with their sort of excitement and enthusiasm about the project with nothing to show for it, but just some words and trying to explain what my vision for it is, which we were just, like, trying to hit a moving target with that, because there was no, like, we are just remaking a Frank Sinatra album. We're just going to do Sinatra at the Sands today. It was like, we're not doing that. We're doing... if it were made today, what would it sound like? How do we make it fresh and soulful and incorporate all of my influences? So it was kind of a broad pitch. And that was one of those moments where I was like, I am so blessed with a loyal fan base who's like, whatever, we're in. Make a rap album, we're in. Like, probably not that, but no, don't try it. Like, it just felt like they're just on board. And then I realized through, because Pledge Music really encourages you to engage with them along the process, keep them updated. You're getting inside information by pledging, so make it, like, inside information. And what I realized in the process is, like, it isn't about the music necessarily. It's about me. It's not about your voice. It's not about your voice being perfect and hitting all those notes. It's not about you having your face beat and your hair done in the perfect outfit and being perfectly airbrushed and all of those things that like we were talking at the beginning. Mostly I'm haggard and they love it. No, it's just about being authentic and sharing my experience.
You recently did a cover with the fantastically talented Cynthia Erivo of a Taylor Swift song, which I believe is called I Did Something Bad. Is that the name of the song? Okay. It's amazing for a lot of reasons. We'll put a link and I encourage everyone to watch. Particularly, though, you sit and you do not move, which seems like such a simple thing, but I think that is one of the most powerful and difficult things for a musician, to sit still and sing. How did you do that?
Honey, I don't know. And actually, if you look carefully, you'll see my hands, my fingers. Someone else pointed it out to me. I think it was my dad, was like, yeah, but your fingers are moving. Because I can't. Stillness is not my bag. And I knew that I wanted it to be still. When I pitched the concept to Cynthia, I was like, picture it like moving Vanity Fair cover, like very regal and bored and dark. Like if Downton Abbey made a music video, this is what I want this to be. And she just kind of took it a step further, because in my mind, I'm like, we should be still, maybe there's like a strategic movement in between verses. And then at the point that the song, after the bridge, like, I think we should like be ourselves. And she was like, I disagree. I think we should just do the least the whole time. And I'm like, the whole time? Like at some point, shouldn't we give them what they probably like expect and want us to do? No. Okay. It was so hard. Also, you again, I want to make sure that I'm in the most flattering possible position. So I'm like, let me give my body this. And this whole side was all cramped up to just be still that whole time. Anyway, that's the inside scoop.
I love it. I think it's absolutely phenomenal.
So you have Cynthia to thank for the rigid stillness that maintained through the entire video.
Yes, and we have both of you to thank for that vocal, because with all due respect to Taylor, who I do love, this vocal is a must listen. Both versions are good. Everything is good. No pitting women against women.
I never trust a narcissist, but they love me. So I play him like a violin. I make it look oh so easy. 'Cause for every lie I tell them, they tell me 3. This is how the world works. Now all he thinks about is me. I can feel the flames on my skin, crimson red paint on my lips. If a man talks shit, then I owe him nothing. I don't regret it one bit, 'cause he had it coming. They say I did something bad. Why does it feel so good? They say I did something bad.